Mm. So, okay, so here we are with Ashae's Guiding Mentor 11 final exit interview. And she's going to share her screen. So we've got a nice visual to watch for the recording. Thanks, Ashae. And I will open up this document as well, just so we can time to do a little bit of thinking prior to jumping into the meeting today. And I do want to say some of these things out loud, though, because I do think there's lots of value in that. You did a bit of a written reflection solo and recorded a few descriptive words that captured your feelings about what you've put into your portfolio. Accomplished, that's, of course, a great one to have, because it's like quite a feat to gather all these things, isn't it?
Yeah.
Creative, because that's just who you are, and I don't think you'd be able to take that out of any of your projects, even if you tried.
Exactly.
Explorative, that one's cool. What do you mean by that?
I don't know, I just felt like I was trying like a lot of new things, and
nice.
Yeah, exploring.
Like that. Yeah. Were you exploring yourself or exploring like techniques and content, or a bit of both?
Both.
Yeah. Cool. I like that balance. Engaging. And again, engaging, is that for your interactions with the content and how you were?
Yeah.
So, and then self-reflective, of course, because it's, self-design, and that's just who we are.
Yeah.
Your biggest learning moment that you identified with
I can just summarize this instead of you having to read my writing.
Yeah, I'd love that.
So basically, I was just saying, like, the Gateways Leadership Workshop felt like a really big thing for me, because I have done a lot of leadership stuff, but to be working with a group and having
in a controlled educational setting too.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah, for sure. Definitely felt some growth and expansion in my own skills and working with others and stuff in that.
And confidence too, I hope.
Yeah, for sure. And then, so like it sort of said, identify moments with all of these artifacts. I was like, well, I'm not going to do all the artifacts. There's a lot of them.
Okay.
But then I was saying, sort of as a general, like with my more creative ones, I just felt like I was really stretching myself this year and trying new things. And like I have a poetry one in there, and I never do poetry. And I have like my ukulele stuff that I put in there. I've really been stretching myself with that. And
beautiful.
Yeah.
Did you bring your ukulele on your last trip with you?
No, it's too precious. Yeah. I was going to take it to Bren's, but then I was like, I'm flying home and I already have too many bags. I can't bring it with me. Yeah.
So new processes, learning processes that were new for you.
Just said in here again about the workshops for Gateways was different for me to be working with a group of people, because I've done teaching, but it's all been one-on-one. And so you have to work with the person's personality or their learning style, but it's just with one of them instead of like 10 different people and trying to keep the lesson flowing. So that was big for me.
Oh, I'm so glad you mentioned that, because I threw that in as probably one of the biggest challenges of the course. And in the time, I think you guys might have just felt like, oh, thank God, we've got everyone working with us and it's going to be easier. But in reflection, I'm hearing all of you say like that actually was one of the hardest parts. That like,
it's not even it was like super hard, but just being a challenge.
Well, there's a lot to be mindful of. Leading on your own is it's really easy to know, how you're going to keep that flow, because you're just working with yourself. But when there's all these other variables, all these other leaders that you're working with, and then you're balancing that leadership role amongst many people who have different leadership styles, and maybe different visions for how the lesson may flow, and that sometimes doesn't come up until in the moment, right?
And also that, like, working with other leaders, but I'm saying not even just that, it's working with multiple students at once. For me,
cool.
Because for me, I've taught things one-on-one, myself and one student.
Oh, nice.
Whereas doing myself and 5 to 10 students is, you've got a lot of different, again, a lot of variables in there to work with.
Yeah. Oh, that's so good. And that's really exciting too, Ashae, in terms of where, like, the potential for where you can go, because that's when we look at wanting to make a change in this world, like that's a very impactful way to make change, right? Education.
Yeah.
And rather than one-on-one, like one to many.
Yeah.
Many, getting them to start to teach themselves in the group, and to talk and to reflect and to kind of get them really active. And I see that as such a great tool. So good for you for recognizing that too. Are you surprised by the end results?
I guess I was saying not as much surprised, but just like pleased. I'm just really happy with the very full collection I have of artifacts.
Yeah.
Like extremely full, kind of over the top, but
and then can you identify a next step or question that you want to explore as you look over these artifacts?
I don't know if I took that question differently than it was supposed to be, but I was just saying, I guess from looking at the artifacts I've created, I've seen like just in this past year in general, I've seen a large change in myself, and would just like to continue working with the change and finding who I want to be within myself and within this world. And it feels like it's been a big year for my personal growth.
Nice. That's a totally perfect way to take that question.
Yeah.
Let's dive in. Let's check out your portfolio.
Okay. Here, I'll go back to the beginning where it's pretty. I'm gonna do the present thing so you can see the whole thing.
So I'd like a tour. Oh my gosh, it's so pretty already. Yeah. I'd like a tour, but I'd also like you to pause when you get to we'll really highlight. One of them will be the one that you feel like represents the most growth or like pivot for you, like in whatever way you want to take that. Like there's one that will stand out for you as a highlighted one for whatever reason, and you can share with me that reason. And there's one that will stand out to you as like a challenge artifact that you maybe struggled with or you weren't sure if you should include.
Hard for me.
Yeah, I know. So as you're touring through, you can kind of, little intro to some of them, but then those two I want to hear a bit more about.
Okay. Well, we'll see how this works, because it's a little bit tricky because it's just this slideshow and everything is linked into it. There isn't actually really anything in it.
Oh, yeah.
So we'll see how it goes. So just pretty colors all the way through. So I did it as like each section.
Perfect.
And then
topic.
Yeah. Topic. Mandatory artifacts for topic 1. So I put in the Something New project that Kiana and August put together. And then mind map and my learning plan.
Beautiful. And I have seen all of those 3 things already,
yeah, so. I'll show you if you want to see ones that you haven't seen. Totally. I can show those to you. But you've seen a lot of these, so. Yeah. And then optional artifacts. I don't know if you saw that English poem. That was something I was really proud of.
I don't think I did. Maybe we should peek in there.
Okay, let's go over here, see if this... Oh, perfect. It just goes to the link. Great. Yeah, it was kind of at the beginning of the... Well, obviously at the beginning of the year.
Oh my gosh, right at the beginning. Yeah.
Yeah. Poetry is something that I've always been like, poetry. I don't write poetry. And then I got really inspired with this poem. The exercise was to take there's 2 options, but the one that I chose was to take an image and then write a poem from it.
Nice.
And the image of a setting. So this was my image. And then I don't know if you want to read the poem or I can read the poem to you.
Yeah, can you read it to me?
Yeah, so it's called The Road to Nowhere. On a road to nowhere I walk. It continues to the end of existence and eternity, but along the way, there are adventures. Adventures that come in all different shapes and sizes. Adventures that jump out at you when you're least expecting them. Adventures that timidly creep out of the shadows to play. Adventures on a road. The road to nowhere. On a road to nowhere I walk. There is light shining. That light. It splashes onto the trees and bounces off of them, emitting a warm, cozy feeling. The light creates shadows that play with your eyes and mind. They dance through the trees as if they are alive. They dance across the road. On a road to nowhere I walk. Grooves of time have etched themselves into its surface. Endless Travelers past, travelers on their own adventures, singing their own songs, painting their own stories, on the road to nowhere. On a road to nowhere I walk, a fragrant smell fills the air, a smell of flowers and sweet rich soil, excitement, a smell of memories and curiosity. These smells entangle themselves with the road swirling into its story. They follow the ruts and curves, they flow beneath, around, and above the road. On a road to nowhere I walk, seeking a story, painting a picture, collecting adventures and experiences to split under my belt of wisdom. The road, where the road will take me next. The quiet road, the peaceful road, the winding road, the road to nowhere.
Oh, okay, 3 things I loved. I love the repetition. I think that's really beautiful in poetry.
Yeah.
I loved the imagery and really painting. Like, you didn't even have to show me that picture. I was kind of already seeing it, right?
Exactly.
And then I love the vocabulary. I noticed, and I don't know if this was intentional, but this is just something I noticed, that there's a few words that I don't hear you use very often that came out. And for some reason, they all started with E. Like, there was emitted, etched, and entangled. There might have been other ones. But yeah, I was like, oh, that's, it's neat to see you within your English course expanding your vocabulary in that way.
Yeah. I have when I write, I generally have a pretty basic vocabulary. And speaking vocabulary is always so different of how you write. But,
yeah. Cool.
If I get into that, like, poetic mind state, I can start having a really fun poetic vocabulary.
Awesome.
That was really fun. Yeah. And then New Year's reflections, you saw that I did.
Yeah.
The guiding questions. It was just the group's guiding questions, like the ones that we all came up with personally.
Perfect.
Yeah. And then me and my ukulele. I don't know if you want to peek into this one.
Yeah, sure.
Or I can just give you a little summary. It's just, I think I took a picture of my ukulele and was just sort of writing a little story. I can tell you. Just of my singing voice finding experience this year.
Oh, I love that. Look at that beautiful instrument.
I know. It's the prettiest thing, and it sounds just as beautiful.
That's so fun. So yeah, I'll read that reflection at a later date.
Yeah, and then I just put in like a bunch of links to
some of your favorite songs to play
for singing. Yeah.
Oh.
Yeah.
Wow.
Okay, and then assessment. Everyone I did a self-assessment. Yeah.
Excellent.
And I did it for the whole topic instead of just one artifact. Yeah.
Excellent.
Communications and challenges. So this document is not complete. That's why I didn't submit the portfolio yet.
Okay.
I'm going to do 3 hours of volunteering this afternoon right after this.
Oh, perfect. Oh my gosh, did you get to the last second?
Well, it's been so hard because I haven't had great follow through with it, and then I've been away so much. And then I also, this morning, I again called the guy who I'm supposed to go see and do the elder help thing to make a time. Because I got super uncomfortable about that because I was sort of expecting to be doing things for people, not with them, I guess. And then the lady set me up and she's like, oh yeah, and this guy would love you to just come and talk to him for an hour. And I was like, But then I felt really bad because I had really bad follow through and I didn't call him and say anything for like weeks.
Okay.
So finally I did it and he seems super nice and I'm going to go. He's really into classical music. I don't play classical music, but I was like, I could bring my fiddle and play for you if you want. So we'll see how that goes.
Oh, that's sweet.
Yeah, and he's super, like, he's a really nice man, but he's just lonely and he's mostly blind, so he can't really go out and do things. Mm-hmm. So he just wants company. So I'm going to go and do a couple hours with him, I think.
Nice. Oh, wow, Ashae.
I've got 7 hours left.
Yeah.
3 will be done today, and then I need to do 4 more, and I'm working hard at it.
Perfect.
It's going to happen. And then the leadership workshop, all about that.
Yeah.
These were both things that, we did as a pod.
Oh, yeah.
I saw those.
Awesome.
Self-assessment. Digital. Now, I was confused about this. It might seem weird that this is the last one, but that's how the topics went. So I just stuck with that.
That's okay.
Both of those you've seen.
Mm-hmm.
And then I think I told you about this when we went down to Ford's Cove here on the island, and we had a crazy art explosion in this building they were going to tear down.
Yeah.
Yeah, so that's like a little slideshow with some pictures and stuff for that.
Gosh. And I get to see one of your most recent aerial acts.
Yeah, I have 2. So there's one here, and then there's an extra page with some random artifacts I didn't know about. So there's a couple aerials acts you can see. But this is the most recent one.
Oh, I can't wait to see.
Yeah. And then self-assessment, and then extra optional artifacts. Because I couldn't help myself.
Okay.
So I added in the fish project, because that was like a big thing for me.
Yeah. Cool.
My other aerials act. A thing about my houseplants, because I've come up with an obsession. You should see my room now. It's crazy.
Oh my gosh, is it covered?
Yeah, I've got like 2 cactuses and a jade plant and a bunch of other weird stuff.
Nice. I love plants.
And then this is my most recent artifact here.
This might be the highlight.
Well, it's my most recent and I'm super excited about it. Okay. So kind of, yeah, at the moment, which I will go into here and show you.
Okay. I'll take some notes because I have to take a few notes for this section. So
okay.
I'll move it up here.
On the wrong page. As you can probably guess, it's to do with fish. So, when I was in Bellacoola, and I was like, you should take me fishing, because I've never caught a fish before. And I caught a fish. I caught 8 fish, actually.
8 fish?
Yeah.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah, we went down to the river, to the slumped river, where it meets the Bellacoola River. We biked down there, and we took a picnic, and he brought stuff because he was really determined that he was going to catch a spring salmon, but he didn't. So he had a line in the water, just sort of, I don't know what you call it when it's just hanging out there and you're waiting for it, but
trolling.
But isn't that in a boat?
Maybe.
Kind of trolling,
some
kind of not.
Version. I was proud of myself.
Some sort of kind of river version of trolling. Yeah. Well, I was like, it's just not quite similar. Yeah. But then we just had a little trout rod, and I was casting. He taught me how to cast into the pool and then reel it back in just in the right speed to make the fish excited. And then I caught a fish, and I caught another fish and another fish. They were Dolly Vardens, so they're pretty small. But we kept the biggest one, and then he taught me how to gut it and clean it, and I brought it home and I ate it, and it was really yummy.
Gosh. You got it and cleaned it?
Yeah, all by myself. Yeah, he was like, do you want me to show you, or do you want to just do it? And I was like, I'm going to do it. You just tell me what to do. So, yeah, it was really fun. So
that is so cool, because that's part of our, biology 11 course.
Exactly, that's why I was so excited about it. I was like, I have to tell Sarah about my fish.
That is so rad. Wow.
Yeah, so there's some pictures. There's my little fish.
Oh.
It's really pretty. And then he's holding it, but I cleaned it all out, and then there's his head and a picture of it, and then cooked up in the pan.
You guys ate it?
Yeah, we ate it.
Apparently,
well, once we brought it home. Took it back to his house and cooked it up and stuff. But yeah, and then we went back.
Oh, congratulations! That's so fun.
3 more fish each, so that was fun.
Oh,
yeah.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah, it was super exciting. I had moments of feeling really bad about fishing, because the fish would be thrashing around, and then you'd pull it out and it'd cut itself with the hook. And I'm like, I don't want to do this. So I just made him take the hook off, because he was way faster and could get it out without hurting the fish as much.
Yeah.
But it's a skill. It's tricky.
Totally.
Yeah.
Okay, so do you think that's your strongest or highlighted artifact? Is that something that was so brand new for you?
Currently, yes. Yeah. I think because everything else is more distant. I'm just super stoked about that right now. But yeah.
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 I love that. And then what do you think was the one that was most challenging?
Most challenging? I mean, this volunteering thing has been pretty difficult for me.
Okay. Yeah.
It's been, it's not that I have a problem with volunteering, or that's hard for me. but just getting the motivation and getting it going and trying to actually figure something out. And especially on a small island, because we don't just have like a place, like random organizations all over the place that you can just be like, can I volunteer for a couple hours?
Yeah.
Walk in and say you want to help. It takes more than that to get yourself a slot somewhere. And so, yeah it's been difficult.
Oh,
still working on it, but it's been difficult for sure.
That's a great point to reflect on. Small town living.
Mm-hmm.
And busy dual program living for you as well. Like,
it's like not only not being able to find stuff, but not really having time to do stuff as well.
Yeah. Okay, so then this question is similar to what we talked about, but let's see what your answer is. Looking back at all that you have learned about yourself in this course, what future learning do you envision for yourself? I'll elaborate a little bit. Okay. Next year in Guiding Mentor 12, it's almost like personal project where we focus on a capstone project and you work on that all year long. So for instance, this year, one of my learners is a dancer and she actually choreographed her own dance and did her whole year around these choreographed dances, and then like performed them and like brought them to shows and worked with all of these professionals, and that like that was her whole year with that course. So it can be anything really, but it's something that that you're interested in and that you want to take a little bit further and challenge yourself in.
Right. So
you can think of it maybe as something that might be on the table for you to pick from for your capstone project, and you might not even know yet, but that's maybe a nice little additional prompt.
So where can I see myself going next year?
Yeah.
Ask me, the one who doesn't do the like future planning thing.
Maybe a couple areas too.
I guess I just want to get more back into my creative life that has been really pushed away this year. So, and that's just like one thing. It could be totally different than that, but yeah, I'm feeling a lack of creativity in my life. And to the point where sometimes I feel like I'm not even inspired to do things, which makes me very upset because I should be, like, any spare second I have, I should be doing things that are creative because that's just me.
Yeah.
But, yeah, just, it's hard with so much school and so much time at the computer. It just sort of sucks everything out of my brain, and when I'm done, I just sit and stare at things or play my ukulele because that's all I can think of doing.
Well, that's creative, and like, I mean, you bring it into your projects. Like, look at this.
No, it is to a degree, but but I just usually I'm so crazy about doing so many different things, and I guess
really like expanding on them. I know what you mean. Like, I have had years where I feel like there's just like stagnation. Like I'm playing just enough to kind of keep up with it.
Exactly. Yeah. No, I definitely. I want more play in my life. I feel like it's been work all year, and not that the work isn't fun, but it's still work. So.
Okay, I think that's a beautiful goal.